South Africa is now watching a high-stakes legal gamble unfold, one that could redefine not only the political future of Julius Malema, but also the limits of legal strategy in high-profile criminal cases. At the center of this moment is a decision that appears straightforward on the surface, but carries serious risk beneath it. Malema has chosen to appeal his 5-year prison sentence, but legal experts are warning that this move could backfire, and not just slightly. It could result in a significantly harsher punishment. To understand why, it is important to start with the facts of the case. Malema was sentenced to 5 years in prison after being convicted on multiple charges linked to a 2018 rally where he was filmed firing what appeared to be a semi-automatic rifle in front of thousands of supporters. The court found him guilty under the Firearms Control Act, including unlawful possession of a firearm, discharging a weapon in public, and reckless endangerment. Despite the seriousness of the charges, the court stopped short of imposing the maximum penalty. Prosecutors had actually pushed for a much harsher sentence, up to 15 years in prison. This is where the risk begins, because in South African law, an appeal is not a one-way street. It is not simply a chance to reduce a sentence. It is a full reconsideration of the case, and that includes the power to increase the sentence. Legal analysts are now warning that if a higher court reviews the case and concludes that the original 5-year sentence was too lenient, it has the authority to impose a harsher one, possibly extending it to 10 years or more. This is not theoretical. It is grounded in the structure of South Africa's legal system. An appeal court can confirm, reduce, or increase a sentence, depending on its findings. If it believes the lower court made a misjudgment, it is at large to impose what it considers appropriate. In practical terms, that means Malema is taking a calculated risk, because while his legal team hopes to overturn or reduce the sentence, the state may respond with a cross appeal, seeking a harsher punishment. And there are already signs that this could happen. Prosecutors have made it clear from the beginning that they believe the sentence should be tougher. Their argument is simple. Malema is not an ordinary citizen. He is a political leader with a large following, and his actions, they argue, set an example, a dangerous one. This argument has weight in court, because judges often consider the broader impact of a crime, especially committed by public figures. That is why some legal experts are calling this an appeal gamble, not because appealing is unusual, but because of the specific circumstances of this case. On one hand, there are arguments in Malema's favor. Some analysts believe the court may not have fully considered alternative sentencing options, such as a suspended sentence or correctional supervision. There are also claims from his legal team that the ruling was flawed or influenced by external factors. But, on the other hand, the threshold for a successful appeal is high. Courts are generally reluctant to interfere with sentencing unless there is clear evidence of a serious error. And in this case, legal experts say Malema's team faces what has been described as an uphill battle. This creates a situation where the risks may outweigh the rewards, because if the appeal fails, the original 5-year sentence stands. But if the court finds the sentence too lenient, it could be increased, and the consequences go beyond prison time. Under South African law, any sentence of more than 12 months without the option of a fine can disqualify a person from serving as a member of parliament. That means Malema's political career is directly tied to the outcome of this legal process. If the sentence is upheld or increased, he could lose his parliamentary seat, a major blow not just to him personally, but to the economic freedom fighters. The EFF, which relies heavily on Malema's leadership and influence, could face a leadership vacuum at a critical time, especially with the 2026 local government elections approaching. There is also a broader political dimension. Malema has already framed the case as politically motivated, arguing that it's part of a larger effort to silence him and weaken his party. His supporters echo this view, seeing the case as selective enforcement. But critics argue the opposite. They say the case represents accountability, that no one, regardless of political status, is above the law. This divide reflects a deeper tension in South African politics, between perception and legality, between political narratives and judicial processes, and that tension is now playing out in real time. For Malema, the decision to appeal is both strategic and risky. It keeps him out of prison for now because the sentence is suspended pending the appeal, but it also opens the door to a more severe outcome. This is the core of the story, not just the sentence, not just the politics, but the gamble. Because in trying to avoid 5 years, he could be risking 10. And as the legal process moves forward, the stakes will only increase. The courts will now decide whether the original sentence was fair, too harsh, or too lenient, and whatever that decision is, it will carry consequences, not just for Julius Malema, but for South African politics as a whole. Because this case is no longer just about a firearm incident, it is about accountability, power, and the limits of the law.